there's some books that I want to reference as it relates to creating habits for success. And the first book is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And if these are not already on my website, I will add them in the next 24 hours. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki, and then Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and Recover, I think it's Recovery. It's actually Recovery by Russell Brand. Now, if I did not mention, I have been an alcoholic the majority of my life. And I got to that place where people say you hit your rock bottom. And that was basically the end of 2018. And my life was just falling apart in every way. And I was drinking every day. And I was drinking so much that I wasn't actually getting drunk anymore. That's how bad it was. And I was miserable in many different ways. And so I decided that night, New Year's Eve, in going into 2019, to quit drinking, just to see what happened, see what positive changes I can make in my life, and I could refocus my life on other things. So that's been my journey. So I am sober 3.5 years. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to be here. I don't believe that I would be here potentially if I had not quit drinking. And so I've been divorced. I have 2 teenage sons. One of them will actually turn 20 this year. I can't believe that. It's so amazing. And I'm just so blessed in so many ways. I have very amazing friends, amazing family, amazing community through this project, Change Through Pain. And as we grow this community here, it's just going to get better. I'm so excited about it. And these books have helped shape me into who I am. And I don't even know how many books that I've read, but these are some of the very recent ones that I've read either a second or third time. Actually, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I just finished the first version of that. And there's something in common with these 4 books. They are 4 very different books, right? You can imagine Recovery. That is Russell Brand's take on Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12 steps. And if you're struggling with any type of addiction, anything, self-doubt, right? Depression, addiction to being a victim, pornography addiction, food addiction, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, chasing women addiction, self-sabotage addiction. Believe it or not, that does become an addiction that we can talk about another time. And each of these books, they have one theme in common, and you could probably guess what that is. And it's habits. All the successful people that have ever walked this earth before us, and why we're here, and those that will walk this earth after us, are all successful because they have something in common, because they have good, healthy habits. And it doesn't mean they were born that way. They had to develop those based on the conditionings of their environment. But the basic idea is that at any point in your life, you can change your habits. It does take work, but you can do it. And on average, 90 days, you can turn a new action into a new habit, which becomes a lifestyle. Because typically we tend to run on autopilot. We live every day on autopilot based on the conditioning of the things that we have learned up to this point in our lives. And so we brush our teeth the same way. Typically, we put our pants on the same way, left or right leg or whichever, the right shoe or the left shoe first. We drive the same way to work, to and from, most days. We just have the same thought processes and how we respond to things. And when we get so caught up in our beliefs because we're so attached to those beliefs. And when someone challenges our belief, we struggle to listen and be open to the idea that maybe there is a different way to do it, or a different way to look at it, or to think about it, or or build it, or design it, or anything. You could apply it to anything in your life. And when you decide that I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to listen with intention to understand, that's where everything opens up. All the possibilities open up. And that means you're willing and ready to try something different, to try a new habit, right? A new action, to create a new habit. And so if you're not happy with your mental health, with your physical health, with your spiritual health, with your financial health, and even your relational health or anything else, if there's something that you're not happy with, and you continue doing the same things and getting the same results, expecting something different and new and better, that's the definition of insanity. And that's how I was living my life. I look at it back now and I'm just like, I didn't even have a plan. I was just doing things, and living for the weekend, so to speak, and living for the next drink and for the next woman to lie down with. And it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't purposeful. It wasn't mission focused. And yes, I had a wonderful job at times, different jobs that I had where I was working in nonprofit and helping others and giving back, and all that was amazing. But I still didn't have a plan. I didn't know where I was headed and why I was doing that. And I didn't really know my core values, and I didn't have a mission statement, and I didn't have a really good self image. I was always doing things to please others and be a people pleaser. And so when you step back and you look at yourself and you get honest and you speak your truth with love, you got to look in the mirror and speak your truth to yourself, and then begin admitting that to others, your close friends and family, right? And the ones that aren't going to judge you, which that's tough to find those. And when you allow yourself to begin that journey of listening, looking within, being open and willing to start making changes by new actions to create new habits, to create that new lifestyle. And then you all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm tired of being a people pleaser. I'm tired of being walked over and being taken advantage of. I'm tired of the life that I'm living in, and not having any purpose. And so I'm ready. And so you're in that moment, you're speaking your truth, and you're speaking it from a place of love, because now you're starting to love yourself. And that's hard to understand for a lot of men, because we're conditioned to believe that we're not supposed to have emotions. We're not supposed to open up. We're supposed to stuff it and just suck it up and figure it out and not share anything, because we'll look weak, right? We don't want to look weak. We want to be tough and strong and masculine, right? Well, there is a side to each of us that is feminine, and not in a girly way. Just there has to be a yin and a yang. There has to be a flow. There has to be a container that contains the flow of the river. Just picture the water flowing. And as it hits the edge, right, the shoreline or whatever you want to call it, it's going to shift and go around, and eventually it'll wear down slowly. But it has a container, it has something that's guiding it through, right? And so the feminine is flowing. And then the masculine is the decision making, and the taking action and leading, and all those things that men naturally do, because most men are naturally majority masculine. And when we get connected to the flow, that might be a nicer way of saying it for us men, is when we get connected to the flow of life and we allow life to flow and stop trying to control everything, that's when things can begin to change for you. That's when you'll start to say, you know what, I'm going to try this now. I'm going to look at this a little bit different. and I'm gonna go with the flow, but I'm also going to stand tall in my truth. I'm going to speak it, and I'm going to stop allowing people to walk all over me, which is the part of setting boundaries, right? So these are all the things that I've done, and these are things that I didn't even understand when I started this journey back on January 1st of 2019. And so by opening myself up, by shedding those distractions, right? The distractions were women and alcohol and various drugs. And so I let go of those things and focused on me and looked inside and said, what am I going to do to change myself? And so I just began reading everything that I get my hands on that was self improvement type books. And these are four wonderful books that hit four different areas. Now, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. If you have not read that, you absolutely must read it as soon as possible. Reread it and read it again. Listen to it while you work out. Listen to it while you're driving to work. Listen to it when you get up in the morning and when you're about to go to bed, and it will fire you up with possibilities, things that you will say, you know what? If he can do this, I can do this. I am not afraid to take a chance, to take a risk, to step out of my comfort zone, step into the fear, and do something different and live my best life. I, that's the best way that I can describe that book. It's just unbelievable. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad gives you some really solid advice on uh, money mindset, your outlook, and your relationship with money. Which, believe it or not, we all have a relationship with money. And then the power of habit, of course, what this whole subject is about, is looking at gaining a perspective from the stories that are shared, of real life stories of companies and individuals and sports teams and coaches that had success based on habits. And if you look at the military and how it takes someone who is just doesn't have much discipline in life and reshapes them and molds them into this, I don't know how else to say it, but a machine like that will operate based on these set rules, right, to follow. So that way they execute. And when they're under stress and pressure, they can execute without even thinking because they condition themselves to just do these things. And that's what habits are about. And so you have to break these habits, these bad habits, these unhealthy habits, these toxic habits that you have now, and recreate a new life by creating new habits, by taking a different action. So those are some of the things that I've done and steps that I've taken to get me to this point in my life. So that's a high level version of it, but these are the things that I can help each of you with if you want to dive deeper into this process, because I live and breathe this every single day. So what I'd like to do is have our next video session would be whoever can join, right? We join and just share, and we talk through and listen to each other and support each other and provide any insight from our perspective to hopefully guide each individual in the direction that will be a better choice for them to move forward and deal with some of these challenges that you're facing. And so there's topics such as like healthy versus self-destructive habits, right? Mindset shift, that getting uncomfortable, stepping out of your comfort zone, stepping into the fear of the unknown, taking risks, challenges, what it means to live on autopilot and to change that, and then steps to create positive change. So that's it for today. I think that's a good summary for everybody, and appreciate you watching. Please post up comments, thoughts, concerns, anything that would be valuable to this group, to each other, for me. And I'll post up the next event and look forward to more of you guys joining in. Thank you so much.